You should have killed me when you had the chance, Tommy. I'm untouchable now.
I wouldn't be getting so cocky I was you.
I'm done looking over my shoulder.
For a long time we watched Tommy trying to run his own hustle. Plenty have doubted him, which goes back to OG Power, and not many believed he could do it on his own, but there was one person who did believe in him when he got to Chicago.
You're definitely running your own hustle now, Tommy. You're running it on point, and you're running it without fucking Ghost.
He came to Chicago and found family, found a new right-hand woman, and stayed to make his mark. Now in Season 2, we've seen him on a path to avenge Liliana's death, build his own organization with Diamond, and with Force going back to the roots that made Power great, we've witnessed one hell of a season, with Tommy being this close to achieving what he set out at the beginning of the season, becoming the king of Chicago. However, there has been a lot of trouble in between, from death of major key players to law enforcement and betrayal from within his own organization. So having said that, I do think by the end of episode 10 he will achieve what he set out to achieve, but at what cost? What are the sacrifices, and is being the king of Chicago worth it if it comes at a great personal cost? Now the title of episode 10 is Power, Powder and Respect, and the synopsis reads: Tommy orchestrates the grand finale of his long-term game to take over Chicago's drug world. When he is faced with devastating personal sacrifices, he finds that he may just lose more than he ever stood to gain. I think first things first, how does Tommy deal with the snitch situation? He found out that Vic is a CI in his organization at the end of episode 9, and now all eyes are on whether Tommy cancels Christmas or whether he has another plan up his sleeve. We've got Tommy and Diamond and Vic on a rooftop, and no doubt, they're going to be keeping their cards really close to their chest. I don't think they're going to reveal what they know just yet, that he's a snitch, until they figure out what to do. And that brings me over to this side plot.
Hey, yo, Jannard ain't the snitch. We'll see.
Diamond said that it could always be Vic, and over the last couple of episodes or two, I have mentioned that I do believe the writers have been laying the foundation for a potential conflict between Tommy and Diamond in the future. So Vic being the CI who was right in front of Tommy's eyes the entire time will definitely not go down well with Diamond. Now with that being said, what do they do with him? Do they kill him, or do they use him to throw law enforcement down the wrong direction? Now if I was Tommy, I would go with the second option, because Stacey Marks is definitely on the hunt. We've got Stacey Marks and Bobby DeFranco in front of Vic, most likely putting the final moves into motion to catch Tommy, the CBI and the Estrada cartel. But will it go down the way we think? Look, this is Power, and when it gets to the latter stages, I always say expect the unexpected, and I do think we're in for a twist. Now Claudia also does deserve a bullet for what she did to Liliana, as well as the rest of her manipulation, and Vic deserves a bullet for being a snitch, and I'm going to come back around to Vic in just a moment. But we've got Claudia coming face to face with Tommy, and with her newfound power with the Serbs and the Marquez cartel, she tells Tommy she's untouchable. Now what I would say to Claudia is, be very careful of who you challenge. Tommy is someone who shouldn't be challenged or messed with, because there will only ever be one winner, and it certainly won't be a Flynn. Now between the exclusive clips and pictures that we've seen for episode 10, we know that Claudia will also be back at the Flynn mansion. She'll be in a conversation with Vic, but will also find herself sitting on the throne, the same chair that she envisioned herself in at the very beginning of Force. But how exactly has she managed to weasel her way onto the Flynn throne? That's one of the questions I do think we need answering. We've also got Markovich, Shanti, Elise and Claudia in a meeting at the Flynn mansion, which will most likely be around their new alliance with the Marquez cartel. But let's not forget one key detail. Shanti did say she was going to make sure Claudia doesn't finish the race, because she's after the CBI, so it is in her best interest to help Tommy, although I am going to come back around to Shanti's moves later on. So I do feel there is going to be a lot of backstabbing and a whole host of players turning on each other in episode 10, which does brings me on to Claudia on the run and the snitch situation. Now earlier in the week I broke down a few different perspectives and theories when it comes to Claudia being on the run. One where Vic could actually turn the tables on Stacey Marks and give her Claudia instead of Tommy, or maybe Tommy uses Vic and feeds him the wrong information. Gary Lennon, who is a showrunner of Force, he said that they've been keeping tabs on what's been happening on social media, and they are aware that fans do want Claudia to catch a hot one, so there is a bullet with her name on, as well as Vic. But based on Claudia being on the run at the same location which the feds are raiding, could we actually see Claudia being arrested? I raised the point about how one way you can make someone like Claudia suffer is by sending her to prison, strip her of all the power and control that she has, and watch her suffer. So I do think we are in for a twist, but with Vic being a snitch, it is hard to call it because you know Tommy won't let him get away with it either, so let's wait and see. Now circling back around to the beginning of this video, Tommy's ambition has always been to take over Chicago. We've seen him and Diamond making some very clever chess moves which has put them within touching distance of achieving their end goal, of becoming the Soul Connects under the Estrada cartel. They've made Miguel Garcia look weak while strengthening their own position, and so we've got Tommy and Diamond in a meeting with Shay, no doubt making their final move, but will it go the way they intend to? Miguel has taken a lot of L's this season, and none bigger than his grandmother's death. Abuela was very much the brains behind his operation, and she called every single move that he couldn't see or was blinded to. But having said that, whether her death spurs him on to getting one up on Tommy, who knows, but judging by this evil laugh, I wouldn't be surprised by the end of episode 10 if he does finally get a win over Tommy. So let's wait and see what Miguel has up his sleeve and how he decides to counter Tommy's move. Now, one of the greatest things about Season 2 of Forces is the fact that they've gone back to the roots of what made Power great. One of the key elements that added a lot of layers to Tommy's character back in Power was his relationship with Kate Egan, and in contrast to JP, we are going to see Tommy and Kate in a heated argument, which I can only assume could be over DMAC or JP. We're also going to see Kate coming face to face with Maria at Tommy's apartment, which will be very interesting to say the least. Let's not forget her meeting Holly and Lakeisha and how that went down in Power. She warned Tommy about both of them. So despite all of Kate's flaws, one thing you can't doubt is she's been right when it comes to the relationship that Tommy's had in his life, whether it be Tony Teresi, Lakeisha, or Holly. So it is going to be very interesting to see what she says when she meets Maria. Now, sticking with the family dynamic, what is DMAC up to? This is one person who, just like Tariq St. Patrick, continues to defy the orders of their father and Uncle Tommy. He's back in the streets, and I did run through a theory which one of my good friends Jalil came up with, which is Diamond asking DMAC to get rid of Mad Dog.
So you thought more about how you gonna handle this Mad Dog kid?
He gotta go.
Damn, bro, he only 16.
Yeah, I don't give a damn. So was Leon. And so was you and I when the streets got real.
Age is just a number in the streets, which I do agree with, because when Mad Dog pulled that trigger, he made a man's move. So could DMAC be the one to kill Mad Dog for Diamond? Now, why I can see this being a very plausible theory is because this would cause further tension and conflict between Tommy and Diamond. We all know Tommy sent DMAC to Great Shaw's youth academy to keep him out of trouble, but if he goes and commits yet another stupid act in the streets, it's going to cause one hell of a shitstorm for more reasons than one, especially because Mad Dog is King Kilo's nephew. King Kilo is the leader of the RDs, and he's a major player in the CBI's coalition, so with Tommy and Diamond being this close to achieving their ambition, I would not be surprised if there was something like this that did put a thorn in their plan. Now, earlier in the week, I also raised a point about how Diamond needed to sit down with King Kilo to kind of hash this problem out before it escalates. We also saw what happened when Tommy killed Chewie at the beginning of the season, which caused a chain reaction, and I think we might actually see Jannard going to visit King Kilo. This was a post by Chris Lofton, who plays Jannard, with him visiting King Kilo in prison, so that's just something to keep an eye on. Now, elsewhere in episode 10, another key storyline we do need to keep our eyes on involves Shanti Showstopper. She's been making some very clever chess moves behind the scenes, keeping her cards really close to her chest and being very patient when it comes to inflicting the hammer blow. Whether we see that in episode 10, who knows, but it is something I do think will rumble on into season 3. I've said it before, I think Power missed a huge opportunity with Jukebox's storyline, with her meeting Tommy and causing chaos, and just generally seeing how Tommy would have kind of dealt with the threat of Jukebox. So I personally don't see Shanti going anywhere anytime soon, but let's just keep our eyes on her next chess move. Now, with all of that being said, that's a preview of all things we need to know before going into episode 10 of Force Season 2. So drop all your thoughts and predictions, as well as your death predictions, down below in the comment section. And as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.